If you've ever felt that sinking anxiety when you think the person you like is pulling away and you find yourself over-analyzing every word they say, endlessly checking your phone or their social media, or reacting in ways that don't feel like you, this episode is for you. Hello and welcome back to Lessons in Attachment. I'm Carly Ann, a psychotherapist and attachment coach. Today's episode is one that really hits close to home for so many of us who struggle with anxious attachment. I'm diving into 3 things you might be doing that actually enhance your anxiety and make you feel worse when you think that someone is pulling away. And most importantly, do stay tuned because I will share 3 practical ways that you can prevent or help yourself when you are in this kind of spiral of anxiety. So, just before we get into this episode, I'm trying out something new for you. If you want to take this episode to the next level, you can download a free PDF version of this episode. So, having it in writing there to look at. So, a summary of key points, exclusive extras to help you put these attachment insights into practice. So, there'll be extras there that aren't in this podcast. It's a way I can help you take the gems from this and future episodes and help you to make real change in your daily life. So you can grab that now by going to the link in the description and signing up to my Becoming Secure newsletter. So I know that one of the key triggers for people that experience a lot of anxiety in dating and relationships is fearing that someone is pulling away. Now, in my experience, when you get triggered into those thoughts and those feelings and that fear that someone is rejecting you, not interested anymore, when you feel that fear, we automatically go into survival mode. And there are certain things that we will do, and we have this in common a lot of the time. So, usually, people that I work with will fall into one, two, or all 3 of these behaviors. Now, the issue with the behaviors that I'm going to talk about is that, yes, in the moment, they can provide some short term relief. They actually keep anxiety going. They tend to actually make things worse, make your anxiety worse, the worry in that moment. So, I'm going to talk through these 3 common behaviors and just pay attention to any aha moments, anything that you're aware that you might be doing as well. Don't blame yourself. Try not to criticize yourself. Just meet yourself with understanding and with knowing that with this kind of awareness, actually, all that is going to do is help you to change this, help you to break away from these behaviors that are usually unhelpful and enhancing the anxiety. The first behavior is constant checking. Yeah, so you might even just me saying that, you might feel like, yeah, I'm checking all the time when I'm afraid that someone is no longer interested. This could be checking their social media, over analyzing when they were last online, rereading old messages, and it can go even deeper than that. You might be looking at their friends, online status, stories, social media. This is where the constant checking can really take over. It might even feel like it's out of your control. It's not, but it can feel like that. You're kind of gathering evidence, but in reality, you're feeding your fear. You're creating this story that may not even exist. Checking keeps anxiety going, especially with anxious attachment. It only gives you temporary relief, but makes the worry stronger over time. For example, when you reread a message to see if the tone was okay, check when someone was last online, or you ask someone if everything is okay, you might feel a little calmer in the moment, but this doesn't last. It actually just tells you that something bad might happen. or something bad is happening, which keeps you stuck in a cycle of worrying and checking. So, best case scenario for you in that moment is that you get a bit of relief. That doesn't always happen because, say, if you do see that they're online and they're not messaging you, if you do see that they've posted on Instagram but they've not messaged you, that can make you feel worse. And like I say, in the long term, even if you get that temporary relief, it doesn't last very long. The more you do it, the less you actually trust yourself to handle things like waiting for a reply or dealing with the uncertainty. That's what a lot of this checking comes down to, the uncertainty of whether this person is interested in you or not right now. On top of that, checking doesn't solve the worry. If they still haven't replied, or you notice something else to stress about, like I was saying, you end up checking again. We really need to be doing experiments here. When you feel the urge to check, you want to be pausing, asking yourself, what is it that I'm actually trying to find out? Have these curious conversations with yourself. It's often reassurance. Try, if you can, if it's possible, in some way, and you really might need to think outside the box. Try and think of ways that you can internally yourself meet this need. Remind yourself of times they've shown they care, or feel into and remember times that people have cared. Relationships aren't measured by constant interaction, and to remind yourself of that is really important. But I guess ultimately in this moment, the goal here is to delay the urge to check because we want you to be able to be okay with uncertainty. I have just given you some ideas there of how you can manage the checking. But again, I am going to give you three techniques that you can use at the end of this session as well. The second behavior to keep anxiety going is over analyzing every element of the communication. And there are crossovers here with the first behavior. Over analyzing every little detail in communication is something, again, people with anxious attachment really do have in common, and it can really mess with your head. I was having this conversation inside one of my group sessions recently. Imagine you send a message and the reply you get is super short, just yeah, or just an emoji. Right away, your brain might start really getting active, really overthinking. They're losing interest in me. Did I say something wrong? Have they met someone else? Or let's say they don't text back all day, and suddenly you're convinced that they're pulling away, even planning to break up with you. Like, it just consider what I'm saying there. Have you been in that kind of situation? That automatic thinking that happens based on analyzing communication without enough information. This kind, like in your defense, I think this is really important to know that this kind of thinking happens because your brain is trying to protect you from being hurt or rejected, like you may have experienced in the past. But instead of helping, it is creating more anxiety. These thoughts are not based on facts. They're often based on ideas, fears, the past. A short reply, it doesn't mean that someone's losing interest, even if it has meant that in the past. It might just mean they're busy, they're tired, they're stressed today. If they haven't messaged all day, it doesn't automatically mean something bad is happening. We have to be able to pull back and think of these more realistic scenarios, at least until we have enough information, because otherwise, in the meantime, we suffer. When you overanalyze, you're focusing entirely on your own fears. You're ignoring the fact that this other person has their own internal world, own life that doesn't actually, and this sounds harsh and I don't want it to do, but it doesn't revolve around you. It doesn't revolve around us. People have moods, distractions, responsibilities, and that actions don't always have anything to do with how they feel about you. And in those times where you are right, I'm going to speak to this because it's important. In those times where they are pulling away, all that's happening there is you are getting the information that you need to get. So instead of jumping to the worst conclusions, try to pause, try to ask yourself, what else could this mean? How can I zoom out and really look at what else could be going on? And if it is the worst case scenario, I can deal with that when I've got the information that I need. Your anxious brain isn't always telling you the truth. And even if it is that someone was pulling away, it's still going to be really overestimating how bad things are going to be and underestimating your ability to cope. Your brain is trying to protect you, but not in the best way. And if the worry still feels overwhelming, you can use some of the tools that are coming up in the second half of this podcast. The third behavior that keeps anxiety going, and I've kind of already alluded to this, but it is reacting too soon. Reacting too soon means, when you start acting out of fear before you even know what's really going on, like you're jumping to those worst case scenarios that I've just mentioned, maybe when they haven't messaged and you have the thoughts that I've spoken about, like, so are they pulling away? Have they met someone else? Are they not interested? They're the thoughts that we're having and we're feeling anxious. And what this behavior is all about is that we actually act on those thoughts. So you start sending extra messages. Are you okay? Have I upset you? Really seeking that reassurance. You're reacting before you have enough information. You might go the other way and pull back. I'll just stop messaging them too. Like you might put that wall up again without really knowing what's going on. And that can stand in the way of relationships. These reactions will give you the sense that you're taking back control or that you're getting control and you're getting certainty. But they're really driven by fear. They're not driven by reality. And so you're seeking certainty about whether this person likes you, which is understandable, but we don't need to do it in this exact minute. When we feel this way, time is still going to pass. We we feel that sense of urgency. And I'm going to say, I'm going to make it really clear that it's not your fault. When this happens for you, and I have certainly been there, and as have the people on my courses, in my membership, one to one, people that DM me, listen to this podcast. It's really not just you. I want you to feel into that. But something happens when you fear that they're pulling away. It's like a switch flips. Yeah, you go actually into like a childlike state without even realizing. It's the part of you that learned so long ago to be hyper aware of people leaving, abandoning you, rejecting you. This part gets into the driving seat. This might come from past experiences where you felt ignored, where you've been hurt, or, like you had to work hard in relationships. And even though this situation right now is not that, your body is reacting as if it is. The past is present in your body in these moments. And so we react. That's why it can feel so overwhelming because we're reliving the past. Like, and it's like, I have to do something right now to fix it, not consciously, but that's what's going on. And the important thing to remember is that these feelings, they don't mean there's actually something wrong in your relationship. Or if there is, you can cope. Like I was saying, as the adult you are today, you can cope. And we do not need to take these quick reactive actions to fix it or to stop it from happening. It's old wounds showing up in the present moment, making it hard for you to tell what's real, what's my fear, what do I actually feel right now. So next time you feel that urge to act out of panic, whether it's sending a bunch of messages or pulling back, try to pause, similar to when you have that urge to check. Okay, it might feel hard at first, but the more you practice sitting with this feeling instead of reacting, the more you'll learn that you're stronger than you think. And I know it can be confusing. Like, how is it that I sit with a feeling? And perhaps that's something that I need to do a podcast episode on. It's quite difficult to just talk through it, that, it's useful to practice sitting with the feeling. But yeah, before you act, take a deep breath, check in with yourself. Is this action aligned with the relationship I want to build? You're going to realize that reacting out of panic often is not aligned with who you are. And something that I find really useful as well is thinking about tomorrow. How am I going to feel tomorrow if I go down this same old path? I know how I'm going to feel. I've been here so many times. And I find that really useful to play it out. And then when I don't react, because I've been doing the work around this for so long, when I don't react, oh my God, it feels so good. I feel good in the moment, but not as good as I do afterwards when I've calmed down. And then I'm so not just proud of myself, but relieved that I didn't act, especially in the times where it turned out to pretty much be nothing that I was anxious over. I just want to pause and have a little ad. This episode is brought to you by my very own course, Becoming Secure, my 10-week signature course designed to help you move from anxious attachment towards secure. Inside Becoming Secure, we dive into understanding your triggers, building practical tools to navigate these moments of anxiety like the ones we're discussing today. It's not just about stopping the panic. It's really about changing how you relate to yourself and others on a deeper level. If you're ready to stop overthinking and start thriving in your relationships, come and join the next round of Becoming Secure. It's the 5th round. Enrollment is open now, and you can find all of the details in the description. The 5th round of Becoming Secure starts in February. Okay, oh my goodness, I really am excited that 10 of you, just 10 of you listening to this, I obviously don't know who you are, or even if you know at this moment that it's going to be you, because it takes time to make a decision. I'm so excited to spend 10 weeks with you guys on Becoming Secure. I finished one just the end of 2023. And it was such an incredible group. They've given me the most amazing feedback. And I'm hoping by sharing that feedback across my socials and with people that it's going to attract the same kind of determined, beautiful souls that I've just had. So if that's you, and I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I'm excited to meet the 10 of you, whoever you are. Okay, so now that we've identified the behaviors that enhance those triggered states and keep the fear growing, let's now talk about what you can do to stay calm and grounded as much as possible. You've got to be kind to yourself about what's possible in these moments, especially if you have anxious attachment. We know how challenging it can feel in that moment. The first tool I want to discuss is grounding techniques. A grounding technique is a way to help you to reconnect with the present moment. Remember what I was saying about the past being present in your body. So when you're feeling overwhelmed or triggered, this is about pausing before engaging in the unhelpful behaviors. So we don't want you to spiral into those thoughts or those behaviors. And grounding practices help you to focus on your body, help you to come back to the present moment as much as possible, and basically reconnect with yourself, because you've disconnected from yourself. You've merged with thoughts, fears, traumas, and we want you to unmerge and come and get a bit of space. Just a little bit of grounding can give you the space not to say that thing, not to do that thing. We want you to come back to this moment. One of the best ways to ground is to use your senses, to really think about what you can see, what you can hear, touch, taste, and smell. And just to say that smell is especially powerful. It can have an immediate calming or soothing effect. So find a smell that you love and really use that. It could be a perfume, it could be like an oil, something to help you in that moment, using your senses and really engage with whatever it is that you're seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, smelling. If you're curious about specific grounding techniques, because there are so many, you can literally Google grounding techniques and there is going to be so many available for you immediately. I would actually love to create a sort of guide around that as well. So perhaps that's something I can do in the future. The next technique you could try using in the moment is my shift or spiral technique. It's simple, it's an effective approach to managing those difficult thoughts and emotions, which I've broken down into a step by step process. Shift is the acronym. So S is for spot the thought and the trigger. Recognize what thought is causing you upset and what's triggered it. H is for halt. We want you to halt and pause for 90 seconds. Take a deliberate break to allow yourself space before reacting. You'll be surprised what 90 seconds can do. This is when you can ground yourself by focusing on your breath or connecting with your surroundings to bring yourself back to the present moment. I is for inspect. I want you to take an inner snapshot of your current state and really consider, what is it that I'm feeling? What are the thoughts that I'm having? Observe what is really going on, because we want you to be able to unmerge from unhelpful thoughts, from these overwhelming feelings. So just bring that awareness in, really zoom out and become the observer, inspect what's going on for you internally. F is for free the thought through visualization. Use a visualization technique to release the thoughts, like imagining those thoughts floating away. Imagine them attached to a balloon and they are just passing you by. And T is for take time to ask yourself what you need to be okay in this moment. Reflect on what you need. Is it comfort? Is it reassurance? Is it to feel grounded again? Take that time and see if you can meet your need as much as possible. I'm not saying it's going to be as effective as, what it is that you believe you need from another person in this moment, but it might be enough for you just to come back home to yourself. And the third thing that you can do in the moment, I wasn't really sure how to word this, so I'm going to say use what helps. You need to have important reminders, easily accessible, things that you already know will help you. Yeah. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, desperate, or having an extreme reaction, sometimes it's just about getting through the moment as best you can. I think we really underestimate this. We feel like we've got to do this deep inner work and, just know what to do in these moments. But sometimes we just need to get through it. You know that if you have an anxious attachment, trust me, I've been in those desperate moments. We need to just get through it. Create a plan for those times when you're not stressed by having, reminders. This could include affirmations, quotes that calm you. This is all things that I've had, things that help you feel grounded, deep breaths, going for a walk, actual reminders. So, what is it that helps you? And by the way, I'm just going to say this, we do create this together on Becoming Secure. You can write yourself a letter when you're calm, reminding yourself of moments that you've coped before, reasons to feel secure. There's so many things that you can have in that moment that you can be reading and looking at and feeling and remembering. And that's going to really help you with the negativity that's going on. It's going to help you with the anxiety, because we want to shrink that. Having someone you can reach out to and knowing who that person is. The goal is to have these tools ready so that you don't have to figure it out when you're struggling in that moment. In fact, have the PDF of this episode downloaded. Read through the grounding ideas again, read through the shift or spiral technique again. That's literally what you could do in those moments to use what helps. It's really important. We really do have to plan for these moments. When you feel like someone's pulling away, you're really going to lose yourself if you have an anxious attachment. And we have to plan for those moments so that we can it's almost like a bit of damage control because you know the kind of things that can go on in those moments. These are the moments that a relationship can be ended. These are the moments that can be really damaging. Yeah. And it's not your fault. I think I've made that clear. I hope I've made that clear. But look, learning to prevent and manage your fears and triggers is an absolute process. Okay. But every small step that you're taking right now will make a difference. This will click into place. You have the power to soothe yourself. You have the power to use these tools in the moment to, or at least to make it so that you're the person that does that, to build relationships that feel safe and secure. This is your time now. For me, I was always like, I am determined to be secure in my lifetime. And I guess that did come from a bit of feeling like it wasn't fair that I had this anxious attachment. And I was determined that in my lifetime, I was going to get to experience what it feels like to feel secure, because that's a privilege. And it shouldn't be a privilege. We should all get to feel secure. But this is your time. Your relationships from the past do not define your future. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to share it with someone who might need it. And, the subscribing, the liking, all of the things that you can do depending on where you're listening to this, that's how we can reach people just like you, just like me. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts. What were your aha moments from this episode? What do you want more from? You can reach out to me on social media, carly.ann_, or drop me a comment wherever you're listening to this. Remember that if you want to take this episode to the next level, you can download the free PDF version packed with a summary of key points, exclusive extras to help you put these attachment insights into practice. It's a way that I can help you take the gems from this episode and help you to make real change in your day-to-day life. You can grab that in the description. And finally, a message for those 10 of you that will be joining me on Becoming Secure. Obviously, I don't know you yet, but if you're called to work with me, make sure you check out my signature course, Becoming Secure. Your secure self is already within. And I would love to help you to meet that part of you, strengthen that part of you. We start in February 2025. And of course, the link is in the description. If you're listening to this after we've started, just go to the description and it's probably going to let you know roughly when the next one starts. Okay, thank you for being here. Well done for being here. And I will see you back here very soon.